At 11:47, a train slows beside a platform that does not appear on any underground map. Through its windows, you can see 30 passengers, each wearing a railway uniform from a different decade. And beneath the old enamel clock, one chair has been left empty for you. The station is called Morrowgate. It has been closed to the public for nearly 60 years, and tonight your only instruction is to open it before the train arrives. The instruction is written in blue ink on a cream-colored card, waiting for you inside the narrow street entrance. There is no signature, only 3 lines. Light the platform lamps, set the clock to the correct time. Put the kettle on before 11. Below those lines in smaller writing, someone has added one final request. Please do not remove the empty chair. You read the card twice beneath the awning while a light London rain taps against the pavement. People hurry past the green iron gate without looking at the painted-over station name or the faded round sign above it. You have passed Morrowgate many times yourself and always assumed the doorway belonged to a storeroom. Tonight the gate opens at the touch of the key you were given that afternoon. The key is longer than any you use at your regular station. It has a round bow, a darkened shaft, and a paper label tied to it with red thread. Morrowgate, the label says. Annual opening. Your supervisor had handed you the key just before the end of the afternoon shift. He had offered no explanation beyond saying that someone had asked for you specifically. When you reminded him that you had worked for the Underground for less than a year, he looked down at the name on his clipboard, then back at you. That is why they asked, he said. Now the lock turns with a heavy, patient click. You pull the gate inward and step into a tiled passage no wider than a hallway. The sounds of the street become quieter at once. Rain and buses fade behind the closing gate, replaced by the small echo of your shoes and the faint tick of cooling pipes inside the walls. A single bulb burns above a wooden ticket window. A vase on the ledge holds 3 white chrysanthemums and 1 stem of rosemary, all fresh enough to leave tiny drops of water on the glass. Someone has been here before you. The thought does not feel unsettling. There is too much care in the room. Beside the flowers rest a folded tea towel, a tin of biscuits, and a brown paper parcel labeled cups. You set your coat on the hook behind the ticket window. The hook bears a porcelain number 4. Other hooks run along the wall beside it, each with its own number and a small brass name slot beneath. Most of the slots are empty. The last one contains a clean white card with your name written on it. Its handwriting matches the note at the entrance. Beyond the ticket hall, a curving staircase descends beneath a tiled arch. A poster frame beside it contains a typed schedule titled The Quiet Shift. Air the station, test the lamps, wind the clock, prepare tea, receive the train at 11:47 and close the gate at 1. Your watch says 9:23. At the foot of the staircase you find a bank of old electrical switches labeled for the booking hall, passage, stairs, 2 platforms and tea room. You push the first switch upward. Lights come on behind you one after another, each with a low amber glow. The booking hall brightens, the passage brightens, the curved stairway gathers a thin ribbon of light along its brass handrail. When you raise the platform switch, there is a pause long enough for you to hear the current moving somewhere inside the wall. Then the station opens below you. Round lamps bloom down the length of the northbound platform. Green tiles shine beneath white arches. Benches appear from the darkness, along with enamel signs, iron columns, a wooden porter's cabinet, and an old clock hanging from 2 black brackets. The rails are dark but clean. Beyond the platform, the tunnel curves out of sight. Morrowgate does not feel abandoned. It feels closed between performances. You descend with one hand on the cool rail, while a mild current moves through the tunnel, carrying the familiar mineral scent of stone, dust, and warm cable. A drop falls beyond the wall. A relay clicks. The clock makes a faint, dry movement, though both hands remain fixed at 12 minutes past 6, and there, beneath it, waits the chair. It is a simple wooden station chair with curved arms and a green leather seat. Someone has drawn it away from the wall and placed it facing the tracks. On the seat lies a cream-colored place card. You do not need to pick it up to recognize your name. You leave the chair where it is. At the far end of the platform, the station master's office faces the tracks through a square window. Shelves hold rolled notices, pencils, a signal flag, and a line of chipped mugs. Beside a green-shaded lamp rests a black telephone with a quiet open line. On the desk sits a ledger, bound in dark red cloth. The first page is dated nearly 6 decades ago, on the night Morrowgate closed. The station staff signed their names in 2 neat columns and recorded their roles. Station master, booking clerk, porter, technician, driver, guard, cleaner, and tea attendant. At the bottom of the page is a sentence written in darker ink. The station is closed, but the quiet shift will continue. You turn the page. Exactly 1 year later, the same names appear again, joined by one new name. The following page is another year later. Through the decades, some names disappear and others take their place. Porter becomes customer assistant. New roles appear: controller, apprentice engineer, train dispatcher. Every year, one new person signs the book. The final page contains tonight's date. 30 names have already been written in blue ink. Beneath them waits one blank line. You look through the office window toward the empty chair. The station clock still says 12 minutes past 6. According to the quiet shift list, the clock must be cleaned and wound before 10. A cabinet beside the desk contains a brush, a cloth, oil, and a brass winding key. You set a short wooden ladder beneath the clock. From the 3rd step, you find a latch under the case and open it with the brass key. The glass face swings outward. Behind the painted dial, small wheels fit within larger wheels, and a coiled spring waits at the center. You brush dust from the rim, add 1 drop of oil, and turn the winding key slowly. The spring tightens. The mechanism gives a soft metallic sigh. Then the second hand moves. 1 mark, then another. The sound is barely audible from the ladder, yet it changes the whole platform. The station is keeping time again. You remove the key, close the glass, and turn the hands forward until they agree with your watch. 9:51. When you climb down, the old clock continues on its own, each second dropped gently into the silence. Next comes the platform. You sweep a few leaves from one end to the other, push, draw back, gather. The bristles whisper over the tile while the lamps make long reflections on the green wall. Before you finish, the telephone rings in the station master's office. The sound is not loud, but in the empty station, it travels cleanly from wall to wall. You set the broom aside and answer. "Morrowgate," you say. After a moment of soft line noise, an older woman speaks. "The clock is running," she says. You glance through the window. "Yes, I could hear it from the signal room." You wound it carefully. "Have you found the kettle?" When you say no, she directs you to the southbound tea room and warns that the 3rd bridge step complains but is perfectly sound. You ask about the train due at 11:47. "It has never been late," she says. "Not once in 58 years." The line clicks, and she is gone. Her name returns to you as you replace the receiver. Evelyn Vale. 3 months ago, during an evening rush at your regular station, you found Evelyn standing beside a ticket machine with a folded map in her hands. The crowd moved around her in 2 impatient streams while she tried to find a bus stop on the far side of the road. There was nothing remarkable in helping her. You asked a colleague to watch the barrier, carried her small shopping bag upstairs, and walked with her to the bus shelter. She asked how long you had worked below ground and listened when you admitted that you were still learning the city. Before her bus arrived, she had said something you almost forgot. The map is not the railway. The railway is the people who notice when someone has stopped moving. Now her name is written beneath the platform edge of a station that opens once a year. The footbridge crosses above the tracks. Its third step gives the long creak Evelyn promised and settles beneath your foot. The southbound platform is narrower, with an old painted map and a rack of aprons. The tea room is warm before you even switch on its light. A black range stands against the tiled wall with a small fire banked inside it. Plates and tea tins line the shelves. A long table fills the room, covered with a white cloth. 31 cups wait upside down on their saucers. 31. You count them once, then again. You fill a broad copper kettle from the porcelain sink and set it over the fire. The iron ring gives a small hiss. There is comfort in preparing tea for people you have not met. You turn each cup upright, add a teaspoon and biscuit, and notice that no two cups match. Some are plain white. Others carry faded flowers, blue bands, or thin gold rims. Together they look as though they have always belonged on the same table. The final cup is dark green. Its handle has been repaired with a narrow silver band. Beneath it lies another card bearing your name. You still do not sit down. At 10:35, the first knock comes from the street gate. By the time you climb the stairs, the rain has strengthened. Evelyn Vale stands beneath the awning with a cake tin in both hands. She wears a carefully stored navy railway coat with silver buttons and an old badge. I wondered whether you would remember me, she says. You tell her that the telephone helped. Evelyn enters with the satisfaction of someone returning to a room after lending it to a trusted guest. She checks the flowers and sets her cake tin on the counter. You have done beautifully, she says, though you missed one lamp. She points to a shaded light inside the ticket booth. You turn its switch, and a warm circle appears around the flowers. There, Evelyn says. A station should always look ready to answer a question. You ask what the quiet shift is. She steps behind the ticket window and runs one finger along the brass machine. The public saw Morrowgate for the last time on a wet Thursday evening, she says. The staff were told to lock the doors after the final train and report elsewhere on Monday. They had worked together for years, and closing the gate in the ordinary way did not seem enough. So the station master invited everyone back 1 year later. They returned a year later, cleaned the platform, wound the clock, made tea, and brought one train through at 11:47. They expected to do it once, but a retired cleaner came the following year. A former porter brought his apprentice. The gathering became a way for the old railway to meet the new one. Evelyn smiles at the dark stairway. We come to remember that most of the work was quiet, she says. Doors held, directions given, wet floors dried before anyone slipped. Last trains delayed for half a minute because someone was still running down the stairs. You look toward the name card in hook number 4. And the chair? Ah, she says, the chair has its own timetable. Before you can ask more, another knock sounds at the gate. This time 3 people wait outside. A tall man with a leather tool case, a woman carrying 2 wrapped loaves, and a younger man trying to keep a box of paper decorations out of the rain. Evelyn welcomes each by name. Mr. Reed worked on signals. Lila Patel managed lost property. Thomas is a current driver. Their coats belong to different periods, but their greetings have the ease of old neighbors. More arrive in pairs and threes. A retired cleaner brings marmalade. 2 sisters who once worked opposite shifts in the booking hall arrive with identical tins of tea. An engineer leaves a damp umbrella in the stand, and immediately checks the troublesome bridge step. No one seems surprised to find you there. They say your name as though it has already been passed around. When you admit that you are new, they nod in a way that makes newness sound less like a deficiency and more like an essential railway position. Every gathering needs someone who remembers, Lila tells you as she arranges biscuits on a plate, and someone who has not heard the stories yet. By 11:15, Morrowgate no longer feels empty, yet it does not become noisy. Conversation travels beneath the arches in warm pieces, cups touch saucers, a toolbox opens with a metal clasp. Everyone takes up an old task without being assigned. Mr. Reed tests the platform bell. The cleaner wipes the brass rail. The booking hall sisters issue little blue tickets from an old machine. Each reads Morrowgate one night only. Lila opens the lost property cupboard. It contains objects left before the station closed. A child's red mitten, a black umbrella, an old paperback, 3 marbles, and a small suitcase. None are valuable. Every object carries a label. We keep them because they waited with us, Lila says. She gives you the red mitten to place on the booking hall shelf. Its wool is soft from careful washing. Attached to it is a newer label. Pair never found. You arrange it beside the flowers where the warm booth lamp can reach it. At 11:30, Evelyn gathers everyone on the northbound platform. There are 30 guests, just as the ledger promised. Some sit on benches, others stand beneath the tiled arches. Mr. Reed closes the signal cabinet and gives Evelyn a small nod. The line is clear, the lamps are steady, the clock is correct. Only the green chair remains empty. Your name still rests on its seat. You stand a few steps away, holding the station flag Evelyn gave you. The cloth is green and surprisingly heavy, fitted to a smooth wooden handle. Your task is simple. When the train stops and the driver looks toward you, raise the flag. When everyone has boarded again, lower it. The tunnel air changes at 11:45. It begins as a breath along the rails. The hems of coats stir. The rosemary in the booking hall gives a small shiver in its vase. Far around the curve, metal touches metal with a sound no louder than a spoon against a cup. The platform grows still. At 11:47, 2 pale lights appear in the tunnel. The train arrives slowly, its wheels making a soft measured rhythm beneath the tiled roof. It is shorter than the trains on the active lines. Only 3 carriages painted a deep red that shines beneath the platform lamps. Cream-colored panels frame the windows. Brass handles catch the light. Every carriage has been restored so carefully that the train seems not old but patiently preserved. It glides to a stop with the driver's window beside you. The driver wears an ordinary modern uniform. She leans out, checks the platform, and smiles. Evening, Morrowgate. You raise the green flag. The doors open. No passengers step out. The carriages have come empty, ready to receive the quiet shift. Inside, shaded lamps illuminate wooden panels and patterned seats. Small cards have been placed beneath the windows, each bearing the name of someone in the ledger. Evelyn does not board yet. Neither does anyone else. Instead, they turn toward the platform clock. Mr. Reed watches the second-hand complete its circle. The sisters at the booking window stand side by side. Lila holds the red mitten against the front of her coat. For 1 full minute, Morrowgate keeps time with the rest of London. Trains run through bright stations above and below other streets. Escalators carry late travelers toward home. Cleaners move along platforms with brooms and yellow buckets. Controllers watch lines of light travel across their panels. Drivers lean forward into tunnels. Someone holds a gate for a parent with a sleeping child. Someone walks an uncertain passenger to the correct bus stop. No speech is made. The minute itself is enough. When it passes, Evelyn turns to you. There is a rule about the empty chair, she says. It must be offered to someone who is still learning the railway. not because they know the least, but because they can still see what the rest of us have begun to overlook. She lifts the place card from the green seat and offers it to you. Last winter, she says, I stood in the middle of a crowd with a map I could no longer make sense of. Hundreds of people passed. You stopped. That is the whole qualification. You look around at the 30 faces beneath the station clock. The chair was not reserved for a missing guest. It was waiting for the next keeper of the quiet shift. You had assumed belonging would arrive after you memorized every passage and learned the answer to every question. But no one here speaks of the railway as a test they completed. They speak of a long chain of ordinary attention, each person holding one small part before passing it onward. You sit in the green chair. It fits beneath the old clock, as though it has waited there for exactly this purpose. Evelyn places the dark green cup in your hands. The silver repair around its handle is cool against your finger. Someone pours the tea. Someone else passes the plate of biscuits. Warm steam rises into the mineral air of the platform. Then the stories begin. Not grand railway stories. Mr. Reed remembers a signal box cat that claimed the only chair until another was found for the signalman. Lila tells of a wedding ring found inside a wool glove and returned before its owner's train left. Thomas remembers a delay in a tunnel, when an older passenger calmed the carriage by describing his balcony garden until strangers began offering him tomato seeds. Each memory is small enough to fit inside the station. Tea is poured again. Evelyn cuts her seed cake. Bread and marmalade pass around the table, while the white cloth gathers crumbs and rings from warm cups. You move between the platform and the table, no longer certain whether you are working or attending. Perhaps at Morrowgate, the two things have always been the same. The annual train waits with its doors open. Guests step aboard to find their name cards. Mr. Reed checks a brass window catch because that is what his hands remember. The sisters choose opposite seats and talk across the aisle. Near midnight, Evelyn brings the red ledger from the office. 30 names fill the page. One line remains blank. She places the book on the small desk beneath the clock and uncaps a fountain pen. The ink is the same blue as the instructions at the entrance. You write your name on the final line. Beside it, you write the role printed on your current badge. The letters look newer than the names above them, a little less certain, but the ink settles into the paper all the same. Evelyn shows you the first page. Several surnames reappear later, carried by relatives, apprentices, and colleagues. Other names enter only once, yet each remains part of the record. No one owns the quiet shift, Evelyn says. You only keep it until someone else notices what you have been keeping. From her coat pocket, she removes a length of red thread. Evelyn takes the old brass key from you, replaces its worn thread with the new one, and turns over the paper label. 31 sets of initials fill its reverse side. The final space is yours. You add your initials, then return the key to your pocket. The signal bell sounds once. It is 12:20. Time for the train to complete its annual journey. The gathering moves without hurry. Cups are rinsed, food is wrapped, and the tea room lamps are turned low. The lost objects return to their cabinet, except for the red mitten beside the flowers. Everyone boards the 3-carriage train. Evelyn saves a seat beside her, but first you return to the platform with the green flag. The driver leans from her window. Mr. Reed stands just inside the first carriage, watching the signal repeater. The old clock advances steadily above you. When the doors are clear, you lower the flag. The doors close with a sequence of gentle thuds. You board through the driver's cab, and the train begins to move. Morrowgate slides past the windows. The green tiles, round lamps, and empty chair travel from view. In the tunnel, wheels pass evenly over the joints while window light flows along the wall. The train follows a short maintenance loop beneath streets you know only from above. Evelyn points out a sealed passage. Thomas shows you an old tiled sign. Mr. Reed identifies each crossing by sound alone. No announcements interrupt the journey. There are no destinations to remember. The carriages carry only the people of the quiet shift and the low rhythm of the track. For several minutes, London exists as warmth overhead. Beyond layers of brick and earth, rain washes the pavements while the small red train completes a circle drawn on no passenger map. When Morrowgate appears again, the platform seems different from the train. The lamps make golden circles beneath the arches. The chair waits below the clock, and the flowers show through the booking hall window. You can almost see passengers folding newspapers and listening for a train. The doors open, one by one. The guests step onto the platform. They collect coats, tins, umbrellas, and parcels. The station receives their voices one last time before the year turns quiet again. At 12:40, the train departs empty. You stand beside Evelyn as its rear lamp becomes a small red dot, then disappears around the curve. The rails continue humming after the carriage is gone. Slowly, the sound thins into the regular ticking of the clock. Upstairs, the gate opens onto clean, wet pavement. Guests leave in pairs toward bus stops and the active station nearby. Coats are buttoned, cake tins are exchanged. No one says farewell for a whole year. Mr. Reed is the last to leave before Evelyn. He places his tool case on the pavement and shakes your hand with both of his. Clock gains about 6 seconds a month, he tells you. Do not correct it too often. Old mechanisms like room to be themselves. Then he lifts the case and follows the others into the shining street. Evelyn remains beneath the awning while the chrysanthemums glow behind the ticket window glass. You ask whether you should return the key to your supervisor. Evelyn looks at the red thread tied through its label. Not until next year, she says. Morrowgate has asked for you specifically. She opens her umbrella and walks toward the corner. At the bus shelter, she raises one gloved hand. A bus arrives with warm windows and carries her away. You close the gate without locking it and return below. The station is yours for the last 20 minutes of the quiet shift. The work remaining is simple and familiar. You begin in the booking hall, where the flowers stand beneath the shaded lamp. The rosemary smells clean when you straighten its stem. Beside the vase, the red mitten rests on its label. You wipe the counter, tuck the stool away, and place the little blue tickets in a drawer for another year. At the coat hooks, you remove the card bearing your name. You slip the card into your pocket beside the station key. Paper rests against brass. The two small objects make almost no weight, yet you notice them as you move. Down the curving staircase, your hand follows the brass rail. The station returns each footstep softly, then lets it fade. The bridge stair gives its long creak, and the building becomes quiet again. In the tea room, the range has settled to a low red warmth. You empty the kettle, and steam clears from the tiles. Washed cups wait upside down on the shelves, plain white faded flowers, blue bands, thin gold rims. The dark green cup stands at the end. You dry it once more and place it with the others. You return 3 unused sugar cubes to their tin and line it up beside the tea, cocoa, and biscuits, just as they were when you entered. You close the range vent until the fire is a calm orange line. Its warmth remains, held by tile and heavy iron. The southbound platform is already dim. You cross the footbridge at an easy pace. No train is due and no one is hurrying. The clock keeps each second without asking anything from you. At the station master's office, the ledger lies open to tonight's page. Your name is the final blue line. The ink has dried. You close the book and feel its cloth cover settle over all the years beneath it. The pen rests beside it. and the telephone is silent. You take the empty chair by its curved arms and move it back beneath the clock. Its feet make a soft sound on the tiles. You turn it toward the tracks and leave one little blue ticket on the seat. Morrowgate, one night only. Blue card on green leather, a simple promise kept until another year. You sweep the few remaining crumbs into a quiet line, push, draw back, gather. The rhythm moves under the clock, past the chair and toward the stairs. The broom returns to its cupboard and the latch catches. Then you walk to the electrical cabinet. Each switch waits beneath its handwritten label. Tea room. You lower the first switch. The tea room doorway dims while the range keeps its hidden ember. Southbound platform. The lamps beyond the bridge fade in a slow row passage. The corridor grows dim, though the booking hall remains lit above. Northbound platform. You pause with your hand on the switch. The clock moves. The green chair waits. The rails hold a faint memory of the train. The station is no longer empty in the way it was when you arrived. Cups have been used, names spoken, and a new line written. You lower the switch. The platform lamps fade together, leaving only the green-shaded office light. The clock hands continue through the dark. You switch off the office lamp and begin climbing. The stairway gives enough light to see each step. The brass rail is cool beneath your palm. Around the curve, the fastened ticket windows slowly appear. You close the lower gate. Morrowgate settles beneath you, not abandoned or forgotten, only closed between its kept hours. One final switch remains. Booking hall. Before lowering it, you stand behind the ticket window. The booth lamp warms the flowers while rainwater slips from the awning outside. A bus passes on the wet street. The station looks ready to answer a question. You turn off the booth lamp, then lower the booking hall switch. Darkness arrives softly. Street light draws narrow silver panes across the floor. The flowers and red mitten remain just visible. Below, the clock releases 1 second and then another into the tiled quiet. You put on your coat. The name card rests in one pocket. The brass key rests in the other. Its new red thread brushes the paper label. Morrowgate, annual opening. At the street entrance, you draw the green iron gate inward. The hinges move smoothly. You step beneath the awning and turn the long key in the outer lock. The mechanism closes with the same patient click that welcomed you hours before. The city receives you again. The rain has stopped. Water shines in the seams of the pavement and beads along the railings. Shop windows are dark, but warm rooms glow in the floors above them. A curtain moves. A kettle gives off steam behind a kitchen window. Farther down the road, the entrance to the active underground casts white light across the sidewalk. Warm air rises through a street grate near your shoes. It carries the distant mineral breath of tunnels, cables, old brick, and moving trains. Somewhere below, wheels follow polished rails through the dark. A driver watches the line ahead. A cleaner draws a broom across a platform. A night worker holds a door while a tired passenger gathers a bag. You begin walking toward the bright station at the end of the street. There is no need to hurry. The next bus will come. The lamps will remain on. The map will make more sense tomorrow than it did yesterday. Routes become familiar, one journey at a time, and a city becomes yours through small places remembered. Behind you, Morrowgate rests beneath its painted-over name. The flowers keep their faint rosemary scent. Cups cool on open shelves. The green chair waits below the clock. The ledger lies closed with tonight held safely inside it. The old mechanism continues to measure the hour in the dark. One wheel turns another, one tooth meets the next. The spring releases its careful tension. Above it, buses cross the wet streets. Below it, distant trains pass like slow weather through stone. Between them, the closed station holds its warmth. You walk on with the key in your pocket. while Morrowgate keeps time beneath London, quietly and steadily, until another year brings light to the platform again.